Imagine a world where one nation's addiction became another's weapon. A world where trade wasn't just about goods, but about power, greed, and the fate of empires. This is the story of the Opium Wars, a dark chapter in history where Britain forced China to trade, sparking a conflict that would change the course of nations forever. In the early 19th century, China was a proud and ancient empire, ruled by the Qing dynasty. For centuries, it had been largely self-sufficient, producing everything it needed within its borders. The Chinese viewed foreign trade as a privilege, not a necessity. And to regulate this trade, they established the Canton system, which restricted foreign merchants to the port of Canton, now known as Guangzhou. Enter the British Empire, a rising global power fueled by the Industrial Revolution. Britain had a voracious appetite for Chinese goods like tea, silk, and porcelain. But there was one problem: China wasn't interested in British products. This created a massive trade imbalance, with silver flowing out of Britain and into China. To solve this imbalance, Britain turned to a sinister solution: opium. Grown in British-controlled India, opium was highly addictive and in high demand in China. British merchants began smuggling vast quantities of the drug into the country, despite its prohibition by the Qing government. By the 1830s, opium addiction had become a national crisis in China. Millions were addicted, from peasants to officials. The social and economic fabric of the country was unraveling. The Qing dynasty knew it had to act. In 1839, the Qing government appointed Commissioner Lin Zexu to tackle the opium problem. Lin was a man of principle, determined to rid China of this scourge. He confiscated and destroyed over 20,000 chests of opium, worth millions of dollars, and demanded that British merchants sign pledges to stop trading the drug. This bold move infuriated the British. They saw it as an attack on their trade and their honor. The stage was set for war. In 1839, the First Opium War began. Britain, with its superior naval technology and firepower, quickly gained the upper hand. Chinese junks were no match for British warships, and coastal cities fell one after another. In 1842, the war ended with the Treaty of Nanking. China was forced to cede Hong Kong to Britain, open 5 ports to foreign trade, and pay a massive indemnity. The treaty marked the beginning of what the Chinese would later call the Century of Humiliation. But the story didn't end there. In 1856, Britain, now joined by France, launched the Second Opium War. This time, the conflict was even more brutal. British and French troops looted and burned the Summer Palace in Beijing, a symbol of Imperial China's grandeur. The war ended with the Treaty of Tientsin, which further expanded foreign influence in China. Opium trade was legalized, and Christian missionaries were allowed to spread their faith. China's sovereignty was eroding, and its people were suffering. The Opium Wars had devastating consequences for China. The country was plunged into economic and social chaos. Opium addiction continued to ravage the population, and foreign powers carved up China into spheres of influence. But the wars also sowed the seeds of resistance. They awakened a sense of nationalism and a desire for reform that would eventually lead to the fall of the Qing dynasty and the rise of modern China. The Opium Wars are a stark reminder of the dangers of unchecked greed and the devastating impact of imperialism. They show how trade can be used as a weapon and how the pursuit of profit can come at a terrible human cost. Thanks for watching Record Rift. If you enjoyed this deep dive into history, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And let us know in the comments, what other historical events would you like us to explore? Until next time, keep questioning, keep learning, and keep exploring the rifts of history.